See, and this right here is why I did not with her and Bernie Sanders fight the oligarchy tour that happened recently when everybody else was fawning all over it. Because it's very easy to say, fight the oligarchy, stand up to the establishment, when it's vague and faceless and nameless. But then when somebody takes your advice and says, I'm going to primary the guy who is completely funded and controlled by Wall Street and AIPAC, you go, oh, did I say fight the oligarchy? I didn't mean ours. Similar to what Bernie said when he was asked about Chuck Schumer's disastrous handling of the government shutdown. He's like, well, I'm not going to call for him to step down, but make sure you stand up to the establishment. Okay, so you guys want to tell people to stand up to the establishment, but then when they do in your own party, you're like, what? You didn't mean like that. Which is particularly galling because we all know that AOC has her seat because she challenged an incumbent in leadership.
There are not many things that I enjoy about the progressive left, if I'm being perfectly honest, but one of the things that I absolutely do enjoy whenever they happen are the betrayal narratives, are this person sold out, we're against them now, they can't be trusted, they're siding with the evil establishment, therefore, we're all gonna post angry social media videos that just demonstrate how this coalition is doomed for failure, because guess what? They don't understand how politics work. And the latest iteration of this betrayal narrative is this idea that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Zohran Mamdani, the mayor-elect, that these people were just celebrating like crazy, won the New York City mayoral election, have decided that they will not back a city council person who is planning to challenge Hakeem Jefferies in the Democratic primary, Hakeem Jefferies being the Democratic minority leader right now in Congress, in order to take his seat because he's a dirty AIPAC money taker and the establishment to a T, in that he's probably going to be Speaker of the House if the Democrats get the majority in the House. And this is absolutely hilarious. I love to see it. I absolutely enjoy it. And we're going to talk about this today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
So Axios is reporting that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is refusing to endorse the challenger in the Democratic primary to Hakeem Jefferies, which is a guy who's in the city council, and essentially his campaign is Israel bad, universal health care, and that he is a gay black, and therefore he should take Hakeem Jeffries' seat.
NYC DSA members, this can only be done and only be tried in partnership with you. And we must try. The national leader of the Democratic Party could be anywhere in America. And by some random chance, it's a man whose millions from AIPAC become billions for bombs. And he's right here in Brooklyn. I believe we have an obligation of circumstance. It could be by anyone, anywhere, but it's us here. Over $150,000 and 1,000 volunteers are pre-pledged. This would grow capacity, not strain it. And this will grow black socialism and strengthen the movement for the sake of our neighborhoods and the millions overseas who we will never meet. I'm asking you to vote yes. We have to try.
Now look, obviously I am no fan of Hakeem Jefferies. That should go without saying. However, occasionally I will get comments from people who are just not up to speed with what we're talking about, so I have to say it for those few in the minority that just don't seem to get where I'm coming from. That being said, the idea that I want more AOC type Democrats, more Mamdani type Democrats to actually get into the House of Representatives, yeah, that's a non-starter. I am not on board with this, and I am completely and wholly unimpressed with the campaign of I'm a gay black in the city council, therefore I should take over for Hakeem Jeffries. Also, Israel isn't the issue that we should all be concerned about in the United States of America. Israel. But I will give this guy credit for one thing. He's at least running for Congress, and Congress at least has some power over foreign policy. One of the most obnoxious things about the New York City mayoral election is that Mamdani and Cuomo were constantly talking about the nation of Israel. And I don't know if you guys know this, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but New York City mayor is not a foreign policy position. But the thing is, the left does not understand politics. They do not understand trying to gain power, trying to align yourself with certain people in order to achieve higher office. So obviously there's nothing but rage at AOC and Mamdani over their refusal to endorse this particular candidate. However, I will say that although AOC has proven to be very unsavvy politically throughout the course of her young career in Congress, this actually might be one of the very few savvy moves that she's actually deployed.
Axios reports that, according to people familiar with her operation, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her team are, quote, positioning her to run for president or the U.S. Senate in 2028. Now, I want to be clear. We have no idea what she's going to do. She's brushed off questions about the matter without notably rejecting the possibility of higher office in the future. But even though she's dodging the questions, look at what she's been up to recently. Ocasio-Cortez crisscrossed the country with Senator Bernie Sanders for their Fighting Oligarchy tour. These were massive political rallies to invigorate Democrats, but also counter President Trump. They had huge turnouts, had national coverage, and plenty of clips went viral on social media. And it's not just what she's been doing, but it's the numbers also. Recent polls show Ocasio-Cortez far outpacing Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in a hypothetical Senate race and in popularity.
So there's a lot of talk about AOC's future at this moment in time. Is she going to run for president in 2028, or is she going to go for Chuck Schumer's seat because Chuck Schumer is up for election that very same year? Also, is Chuck Schumer, who is waning in popularity, going to retire from the Senate rather than face a primary challenge, thus setting up Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as the person with the highest name recognition going into those primaries and potentially grabbing that Senate seat? And in my humble opinion, the fact that she won't go after Hakeem Jefferies is very much indicative of the fact that she might not run for president in 2028 and in fact is planning to run for that New York Senate seat. And the reason I think this is the case is because she's already starting to align herself with people that potentially would back a challenger to her in that primary to take Chuck Schumer's seat. And obviously she is trying to head that off, or at least somebody intelligent, if she has anybody intelligent in her staff, might be thinking in that direction. And this is where we got to get into reality and how politics actually work in the United States of America, because a lot of people tend to get it twisted. So first and foremost, we all know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez primaried Crowley, Joe Crowley of New York, who was like the third highest ranking Democrat in the entire party in the House of Representatives. And very likely, but for Ocasio-Cortez ousting him, he would actually be the minority leader over Hakeem Jefferies at this moment in time. Now, Ocasio-Cortez's campaign worked because of a mixture of luck in that Crowley was too embarrassed to campaign against her, and you also had low voter turnout, but also she did inspire a certain group of people to come out in force for her in that primary. And once she won the primary, she was all but guaranteed to get into Congress and to be the absolute goof that she's been over the last, I don't even remember how many years. It's really not that important. Don't really worry about it. But yeah, the Senate, though, is completely different, because if you guys will recall, because we covered this on this channel, in the 2022 gubernatorial election, Lee Zeldin, a Republican, got within striking distance of Governor Kathy Hochul, running against her as the progressive radical that was in favor of bail reform and all sorts of other terrible policies in the state of New York. So this Republican ended up, again, getting within 5 points of Kathy Hochul. So Ocasio-Cortez, who's much more to the left of Kathy Hochul. And again, New York, although it is a blue state, it can go different ways in statewide elections. We've seen the potential for that in the past, and it is becoming a more divided state politically in that Long Island, both counties over there that represent 4 million people, are turning red. And we also have other parts of the state outside of New York City that are turning red. We have Staten Island, which is a red stronghold, but we also have the borough of Queens, which is trending in that direction due to the fact that the Democrats are losing East Asians. Now, of course, Mamdani ended up overwhelmingly winning South Asians, but the idea that Ocasio-Cortez is automatically going to grab that base of support that Mamdani has, who again was Indian himself, was also Muslim himself, is not a guarantee. There could be a potential challenger that can defeat her in the general election. So what I think she's trying to do is prevent the Democrats from putting up a good challenger against her in the primaries, so that way she doesn't get wiped out. And this is why she's backing Hakeem Jefferies, because make no mistake about it, even though Ocasio-Cortez was able to primary Joe Crowley, he didn't campaign against her. We all understand that that was his blunder, and now we have to deal with Ocasio-Cortez, but Hakeem Jefferies is not going to not campaign against his opponent. So this guy that they're running, the gay black dude who's like Israel bad and Medicare for all, he has a very much uphill battle to go against. And the fact is, if you endorse him this early, you're making a powerful enemy in the Democratic Party who can raise money and direct donors against you in a Democratic primary that possibly can head off Ocasio-Cortez's future ambitions. Like, you can't get her out of Congress because congressional districts are much smaller. Her congressional district is actually loaded up with illegal aliens, so the voting base is even smaller than that. But in a statewide election, Ocasio-Cortez is significantly more vulnerable because, yes, a lot of people think that she's a ditz, she's a dumbass, and wouldn't necessarily vote for her even in a Democratic primary, and also she could have a struggle in the general election. Now, with that being said, if you want to count this as a betrayal because Ocasio-Cortez is quite literally refusing to endorse somebody that is following her blueprint, feel free to do so. And in fact, she has a history of not endorsing primary challengers after her first couple of years in office because she has become aware of how things work in DC. But in reality, I actually think Ocasio-Cortez is really angling for that Senate position. So what she's actually doing is putting herself above actually changing the Democratic Party, which again, in a sense, is a betrayal to the Justice Democrats mission, which is the group that drafted her to run in the first place. Now, as for Mamdani, we also have an issue where this guy just became the mayor of the city of New York. He is looking to face down the evil orange man who is likely to try to freeze and cut funding from the city of New York. And Hakeem Jefferies, again, a key ally in Congress, if Mamdani can win him over, is somebody who can help mediate those problems. So again, Mamdani is looking at this in a very practical sense, in that it's a long shot campaign. And I know a lot of people are going to say that about Mamdani, but the fact is, the way the Democratic primary is structured for mayor is a little bit different. Andrew Cuomo was, of course, consumed by scandal and all those other different various things that ended up aiding Mamdani. But yeah, this guy doesn't have a good chance of winning, and Mamdani doesn't want to make a powerful enemy, especially because all of his welfare programs are definitely going to be reliant on help from the federal government, and the evil orange man is already not really about that. Now, you guys already know that I don't like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know for a fact that I can't stand Zohran Mamdani, but the fact is, I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to give you my analysis, and in my opinion, Mamdani and Ocasio-Cortez are both being very strategic in their endorsements now that they've gotten into a position of power, because what they're trying to do is increase their own power. Remember, Mamdani barely won a majority of the electorate. He was 50.5% of the vote. There's every chance that if Curtis Lewa actually dropped out and stopped attacking Andrew Cuomo, that Cuomo might have been able to beat him. That's how close the election would have been. And he's losing in a bunch of key demographics, as we have broken down when we actually look at the polling. And again, after a couple of years in office, when his programs start backfiring immensely, you are going to see a backlash against an already questionably popular candidate for mayor of the city of New York. So yeah, the guy wants powerful allies in the Democratic Party. He doesn't want to just be the guy that's always attacking his own side. And honestly, the fact that he's being more strategic than expected and less of a radical is probably not a good thing, because it means the chances of him being a two-term mayor are going up significantly. But with that being said, progressives don't understand politics. They don't understand winning over allies, trying to gain influence. So I'm 100% here for the infighting. I am 100% going to be tweeting out and amplifying the betrayal narrative arguments, because ultimately I want these people to fail. And whether or not Hakeem Jefferies gets ousted by this primary challenger or another one makes no difference to me. I want more chaos in the Democratic Party, because the fact is, the Republican Party, a little bit of a mess right now, a lot of infighting in conservative media. So I think we should drop some infighting over there and laugh at the show as it's being presented to us. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. Of course, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias. By the way, Lee Zeldin, please run against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for that Senate seat. This has been me talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Mamdani being labeled betrayers. Till next time.